Across a Thousand Dead Worlds is a dark sci-fi horror role-playing game by Alex T. Set in the 22nd century, it is a solo role-playing game primarily, but can be played cooperatively or with a GM. This is a lore video and my explanation as to why you should be playing this game. If the evocative title and the incredible artwork on the front of this book hasn't done the trick yet, let's get into what it is that's happening when you play Across a Thousand Dead Worlds, which I will refer to as Dead Worlds for short, because that's a lot of syllables. About 1.2 million years ago, there was a ancient alien civilization at its height that spanned an area of space that's beyond our understanding. We know close to nothing about these aliens. We know that they were taller than us, probably bipedal, probably based on the technology that we found. We are unable to understand their language, and we don't know how their writing works, and the only technological or cultural discoveries that we've made about them up to this point have been by sheer luck. And even the luck itself by which we found it is confusing and bewildering to us, as many decades have gone by and we have still struggled to get even the basic understanding of who they are. And in Across a Thousand Dead Worlds, you will play as deep divers, limited partners with the Drake Corporation, who have agreed to risk their lives by traveling up to Karum Station, and an asteroid that's spinning around our solar system, wherein we have discovered hundreds and hundreds of alien ships that we don't know how to drive, but we do know how to hit start. And those ships are going to bring us to random locations that belong to this civilization that we refer to as the Arsai, which is actually just a Scottish Gaelic word for ancient that was once meant to be a temporary term that stuck. And by going to these locations, we are exploring these sites to discover more information about the history of the aliens, but also to take precious loot that will help to move our knowledge forward, and also hopefully make us as deep divers filthy rich if we are one of the few people to survive the experience. And that is the gameplay loop of Across a Thousand Dead Worlds. Hop on a ship, randomly fly to an unknown location at an unknown distance, an unknown destination, hope you don't die before you arrive. Then get out, travel this location that has never been mapped to find information, and defend yourself from whatever denizens might be there that also might kill you. Find and loot that bring as much as you can carry back. Survive the trip back, assuming that doesn't kill you. And then sell your stuff on the station in order to pay your rent and fix whatever horrible traumas have befell you along the way. That is the gameplay loop that made me want to play this game as soon as possible. This is a hard copy of the game. You are more likely to get your hands on a PDF. It is a little steep right now to get a copy of the a hard copy of the game. But I will be using this in this video as my reference book to sort of tell you the information that we know about the lore of Across a Thousand Dead Worlds. And, you know, for the sake of simplicity, we're just going to kind of do it in the order that the book provides it to us, right? We have no idea what the actual name of the aliens were that created this station that was discovered. It was founded by a company that just lucky enough to have found the mining rights for that particular asteroid. Unsurprisingly, in the dystopian sci-fi horror future-based game, Earth is not doing well. And so we have started mining asteroids offside of the planet in order to get more resources that are no longer available on Earth. We know that the Arsai were not big on... Okay, to be fair, the book says that the Arsai weren't big on aesthetics, but you're assuming that what we found wasn't considered aesthetic to them. Huh? Come on, Alex. Don't be culturally ethnocentric, sir. I was just kidding. Anyways, everything's roughly humanoid in shape and looks like it could be operated by bigger versions of what we are. So as a result of that, we have been able to make limited use of the technology and wander through space using it. Should put these tabs on the back of pages. Oh, I just bent the shit out of that. All right. Anyways, inside this asteroid, we found a 5-story hangar filled with tons of our-size ships of various sizes. We don't know what they're called, so we basically named them by the shape of the ship: the circle, the triangle, and the pentagon, which determines how many people need to be on the ship. There's some weird aspect of the ship that requires a certain number of people. This is probably some cultural aspect of the RSI that we don't understand, and so you can only fly the ships if you have 1, 3, or 5 people. Any different number of people than that, you will have to take multiple ships, or you're going to be crewing up with randos based on mission control's efforts to create crews of the right size. All the ships are made out of the same metal. They have very few features in them. They have like very simple drives that we don't fully understand, and we have, as humans, attached some various minimal technologies of our own to the ships in order for us to be able to travel in them in some minimal modicum of comfort. So we don't drive them. We just get in and hit the button, and the ship picks one of the many coordinate sites that are pre-programmed into its GPS from the former owners, and it just takes us to locations, and we loot them, and we explore. The game's primarily focused on looting, but I like the idea of also providing for yourself the idea of using like a scanner to provide data and pictures. There's a museum on Karum Station that has all sorts of information about the sites that I've been to, and it seems to me that the only reason, or the only way for a museum like that to exist would be if they were taking pictures and doing detailed site reports. So let's say that it's for science and not just for the money. Okay. Let's see. So, I'm not turning pages and just wandering through. I've marked these so I can give you very specific things. The sites all look very similar. When the ships take us to the sites and we get there, we find that they are largely sort of gray stone, geometric but not complex really in any way. And they vary in one way or another. And based on our own understanding of how things seem to work, right? Like based on what we would use these things for, we have established that these are some of the primary functions of these sites that we found: prisons, military, data storage, teaching locations, power centers, entertainment. There's various different types of sites that we find. Some of the ships also just fly straight to planets instead of to sites, and those planets must have some significance, a value of some sort. We don't necessarily know what that value is. We do know that these planets often have our size sites on the planets, but why some of them don't is a complete mystery to us. We don't know why certain sites are programmed into the ships. We don't know if there are more sites that aren't programmed into the ships. It also seems that there are very few duplicates. There's very few ships that have the same coordinates as another ship. It's very uncommon for a group of divers to end up at the same location as a different group of divers, unless it is intentional, right? So if a site has been previously explored by some divers, it is possible for another team to return to that site where they will have less opportunity for finding things, but they will have a better idea of what they're getting into, and therefore they will be less likely to die, since they kind of have some idea of what they're biting off. All of the sites have various creatures that are living there now. We don't know why, we don't know how they got there, we don't know what their purpose is, but we do know the purpose of one type of creature, and that is the Guardians. The Guardians were created by the RSI, and they are put in place intentionally to guard sites or to defend them against incursion. There are 3 major kinds that we are aware of, and they are terrifying, and we have various details on them as a result of prior divers seeing them. We also know that there are a number of standard beasties, known sort of creatures that you're likely to run into more often. These are known threats. These are creatures that are somehow common near RSI locations for some reason that we don't entirely know. But they are horrific and well known enough that if you are successful in taking one out, you receive commendations, and those commendations are used to get special technology, special equipment back at the station that can only be earned by the brave and the bold who have gotten these commendations. So let's talk about that's basic. By the way, that's basically all we know about the RSI. We know almost nothing, and the gall of us just jumping on these ships and flying out into space is kind of bananas. Let's talk about Earth and the 22nd century. Am I reading this a little bit out of the book while I tell you? Yes. Shut up. But we, as predicted, our environment kind of went to shit over time, and ocean levels rose, disease ravaged, and pretty soon we had civil unrest, displacement of millions, death of millions, population problems, and a lack of supplies on the planet. So, of course, we looked up, and in looking up, we started populating the moon and Mars and finding ways to get resources. This, of course, was only available to the richest and the most powerful of people in the corporations, and the rest of humanity was just doomed to sit on a burning ball of mud surrounded by violence and toxic fumes. So, that's humanity on Earth. So it became a giant plastic dumpster of dwindling wilderness and ravaged civilization on the new shorelines of dead seas. I love... Thank you, Alex. That was beautiful. And I love quality dystopian future. I don't know why. It's weird, isn't it? It makes me feel like, yay, I have it, and tough luck to the next guy. I don't know. It's very weird. Anyways, so in all of this, the population, the colonization of Mars was made possible with the creation of the EM drive, which changed the trip to Mars to just 10 days instead of I think months, right? Right? Because it used to say, no, I don't know where it says. Anyways, and it also helped them get to the mineral-rich asteroid belt in our solar system in just over a month, and so that made it possible for money to start flowing in. Now, in 2078, Drake Industries, which is a relatively small corporation at the time, got into the asteroid mining business, which was booming, and they bought the rights to the asteroid that now contains Karum Station. They did not know at the time how valuable it would be. They didn't notice anything. There were no special readings, but once the first team landed there and went inside, they were like, oh my god. And they find an alien space station that is basically, hanging out in our solar system. No one has, because we know so very little about the RSI, we have no idea why they didn't choose to make a station like this closer to Earth or on Earth, or why they never bothered to communicate with us. I love the idea. So Neil deGrasse Tyson once said, when he was asked if there's aliens out there, and he said almost certainly. And when they said, well, why haven't they communicated with us? Neil deGrasse Tyson, and I am going to say this, I'm just paraphrasing, I'm going to get it wrong, but he said, have you ever gone for a walk after it's rained and all the earthworms have crawled out onto the sidewalk, right? And as you're on your walk, you have to walk over them so you don't step on them. He's like, have you ever during that walk bent over and tried to start a conversation with the earthworms? And the interviewer said, well, no. And Tyson said, exactly. And that is why I suspect aliens haven't bothered talking to us. And I thought that was fantastic. I mean, a little mean to humans, but I get it. So, yeah, who knows? Maybe that's why they didn't get closer to Earth when they did it. We have no idea why they chose to put their site here at all. All we know is that inside this giant asteroid that Drake Industries found was this huge station. And, of course, immediately everybody went nuts. And all these lawsuits and litigation and people trying to get their rights to it. But It was a no-brainer. It was concrete. They absolutely were dead to rights. They had it belonged to them. There was no way getting around it. All they could do, nobody could do anything about it. Everything inside it was theirs. And so they, even though they started out as just a tiny mining agency, they grew fairly quickly, and they started focusing quite a bit on the asteroid. As a result of this, the company became filthy rich, and they'd expanded into all sorts of other fields: food, weapons, banking, health insurance. The owner of the corporation is still alive, probably by unnatural means, cybernetic augmentations, that sort of thing. I think it's safe to assume that that's true. Although this is all just rumors, I don't think anyone's actually seen him. I like to think of him as like Father from Equilibrium, where maybe they are seeing him, but it's not a real version of him. So it was 2078 is when... Okay, so 2063 is when Drake Industries was started off. It was 2078, so that was only, 15 years-ish, that they found the asteroid. And then they started working on creating Karum Station, and it was in 2093... another 15 years that Karum Station opened its doors, and they were getting pretty desperate because they had spent a ton of money putting this thing together and making this station, and they're practically on the verge of bankruptcy. Right? They had to figure out what to do with this information that they had. They had found the ships. They had found out the hard way about what happens if you try to mess with the ships. So I don't know if this happened on the station or off the station, or if it was early enough that after it happened on the station they were able to make repairs, an ominous comment. But what they've discovered is that trying to tamper with the technology on the R-size ships resulted in a 1 kiloton explosion. So that's prohibited now. They don't bother trying to mess with it. They don't know how it works. They can vaguely operate it, but any attempt to sort of interfere with it or interface with it can result in a cataclysmic explosion. I have to imagine it happened off of the station, or else the station wouldn't be there, because I feel like a kiloton is a lot. I'm not an authority. I'm not an expert on kilotons, but a kiloton sounds big, like a gigawatt sounds big. Isn't it hilarious how he said gigawatt? And if they made that movie today, Doc Brown would absolutely say gigawatt. But they didn't know any better. Anyways, pay attention. So they opened the station, and they decided that they wanted to try to find a way to get people to jump on these ships and go off and get this technology and bring it back. Mainly looking for data crystals that have information on them and are just valuable to begin with, and alloy cubes made out of this a metal. So basically all of the RSI technology and equipment is made out of this incredibly durable, incredibly complicated, complex metal that we cannot operate. We can't do anything with it. We can't break it, we can't cut it, we can't do anything with it. However, scientists have found that these cubes, they're referred to as alloy cubes or a metal cubes, can be worked with to some capacity. We're still learning how, because they haven't been forged yet. They're in a pre-state, if you will, and so it is possible to use those and do things with them and use them for research. So they want them, and that's what we're primarily going after. However, originally they were sending out autonomous drones in these ships. Some were coming back, some weren't, but they realized they needed the human mind and ingenuity to know what's good to take, what's not, and to increase the odds that resources were actually going to be returning. So originally they were going to hire people, but the liability of it was terrifying, and so they came up with the idea of limited partners, basically volunteers. If you volunteer, and Drake Industries doesn't have to take, and Karum Station Authority doesn't have to take any responsibility for your well-being, then they're happy to let you go on a ship and go out. You might get very rich, but you might die, and one has much greater odds than the other in that circumstance. So the new subsidiary of Karum Station Enterprises was created, and let's see, they we're gonna. I already said that, and then they came out with this amazing PR campaign so that people didn't notice or hear or find out about how deadly it was, and just sold the hell out of it about how lucky you would be and how much money you could earn, how great it would be for people who try to do it, especially for, billions of people stuck on a dying Earth who now saw this Karum Station as a golden ticket out of their miserable lives. It says so right here. See, I saw it right there. So we don't know that much about them. I think I mentioned that we think their language combines mathematics and something that scientists call emotion fields. This is the RSI. They are, but their language is probably so close to related to their own physiognomy that there's like almost no chance of us being able to translate it unless we somehow find a corpse of one of the RSI and get a better idea of how they might have communicated. So their technology interfaced directly with their minds, and this has caused a fair amount of discomfort in people, in humans trying to fly the ships, because they see like flashing images or voices as the ships attempt to interface with them. They've managed. It says that the KSA has managed to hack some of their technology, though, culminating in the ability to start their ships and the creation of devices such as the lockpick, LKPK. So yeah, we've had some luck with being able to mess with it, but any efforts to mess with the engine systems has caused explosions. This is the part where it must have been highly utilitarian, as all of their architecture and technology lacks decoration. Who knows? Maybe that's what they consider decoration. There's no evidence at all that the Arsai are the Greys, the aliens that people claim came to Earth at some point, or that these are like, ancient alien astronauts that came down to Earth. There's really nothing to connect those two things. But of course, people who believe in that stuff went wild when this place was discovered. All right, so where are the humans at? So even though RSI technology probably could revolutionize our life, it takes an incredible amount of work and effort for us to get anything out of it. The A metal became a game changer, so that it could make self-repairing devices, levitating vehicles, and like all this crazy stuff. But it's incredibly rare because it's impossible to harvest it once it's given shape. I mentioned that. So advanced robotics, biomedical augmentations, and all forms of drones are common. True AI remains elusive, although Alex wrote this 5 years ago, so who knows, maybe he didn't know how good it would get. It's not that good, I'm just kidding. But it's close enough that it's indistinguishable from real AI. Lots of jobs have been made. Lots of jobs have been made obsolete on Earth. There's been several efforts at a concept of basic income, similar to what's mentioned in the Expanse series, where they have a basic income. Some corporations offer free transport to the mining colonies. The work conditions there are basically modern serfdom by those who have accepted and have been there. So that's kind of the state of the world that's going on at the time. Let's end with a little bit of talk about the station itself. What's there? What divers can expect when they arrive? It is referred to by Mergo by some people, which I had to look up in the glossary. And Mergo is the gateway to hell in Tibetan. Nice. Name given by the first explorers there, since many of them were of Tibetan origin. How do you like that? We have our glossary here. We already said A metal. The Whispers. Oh, I like this. This is the name given to what the scientists have deemed as the ship's attempt at interfacing the human mind. Not all individuals seem susceptible, but those that are describe it as extremely unsettling or even terrifying. Here we go. The EM drive. This is some valuable lore. The radio frequency resonant cavity thruster, originally proposed in 2001, is built around the idea that electromagnetic microwave cavities allow for the direct conversion of electrical energy to thrust. This is what's made time travel. That's Back to the Future again. You can make a trip to Mars in just 10 days. Just as for a trip to the asteroid belt, it takes 32 days to reach. Not bad. We've mentioned Karum Station. Drake coin is the money that's used on the station, and this is basically company script, kind of like, in the old days of the company store. Your money's only good here. They don't use real money on the station. Creepy, very creepy. We have folding up of the Earth. Oh, this is the how they use the warp technology. The Talalar. I have never tried to pronounce this before, and I apologize. I will try never to pronounce it again. That was a mistake, and all of us suffered. I'm very sorry. Okay, let's talk about the station. This is Karum Station. It is actually, after everything I've said, talking about this being a dark, dank future where, all the people are dying and, it's you don't know if you're going to survive, and we're on this asteroid. It's a pretty cool picture of the station right there. But the reality is that the station is fairly light and fairly bright and lively. And this is basically the hedonistic attitude of people who don't know when they're going to die and are trying to live their best life while they still have a life to live, even though there's still stratification of society even on the station. There's people with private rooms and wonderful accommodations, and then there's people that are living in group bunks where there's rumors of murders in the middle of the night. But KSA assures people that those are just unsubstantiated rumors. When you die, they don't even do services. Your stuff is sent back to your family if they're willing to pay for that, and then your room is cleaned out and made available for the next person. However, there are a number of things that you can do on the station. I do like that there's just a carousing table, but there's also activities not only here but also in Karum Station Blues, which is. Alright, I don't have my good copy handy, so I'm just going to show you this one. I had originally printed it and put it in here, but this is just too damn big for my little desk setup. But Karum Station Blues also has some information about the station. I'm not going to show you too much because without going into a spoiler, but there's some additional details about locations on the station. In that supplement, heads up, this is a very straightforward map of the station. Everything in the asteroid was made by the RSI. Hey, you shush! I'm making a video, young lady. This is Kaylee. She's defending the house from the FedEx guy. Good job. Oh my gosh! Don't hit the lamp. What are you doing? Oh, there's a dog. Oh no! There's a dog out there. What are we gonna do? Oh no! There's no dogs on Karum's. Oh my god. Okay. Time out. Sorry about that. They're very rude. Oh, I made the mistake where I ran up the stairs really quick, but didn't give myself time to breathe. Anyways, Karum Station. Everything here is by the RSI. Everything outside is made by humans, which is connected to the asteroid by a number of tunnels. Well, this is probably a direct hallway connection, but there's tunnels inside here that lead to the locations there. So just remember this, because I'm not going to come back every time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just goes in a big circle. The inner ring is just personal quarters for the divers, and then in the middle you have the hangars, mission control, and the medical center, which I don't know why is in the asteroid. Let's find out. So the outer docks. The outer ring just has single docks, and I like this little touch that proves that as nice as this place seems to be, and as much as they advertise it as being a cushy, whatever, friendly place, only 2 shuttles are able to dock at a time at the ring. One going in, one going out, despite the fact that there are 2,000 people on this station. I don't remember where it said that there are 2,000 people. But there are 2,000 people living on this ship, with I think additional room for 200 people to be coming and going. RSI technology or RSI locations tend to be at 1.5 gravity. The inner ring is at half gravity, and the outer ring is kept at 0.9 Gs due to the station's spin. Just pretend that actually works. This is not hard science fiction. Settle down. Oh, it's right here, 2,200. Look, I got it right. Good for me. The outer ring is where you have the docks, the garden, the hotel. All right, so the gardens are a beautiful place where a lot of divers will go to relax and get their psyche sort of calmed. The museum is right here. All the technology and relics open to the general public, and this is where we have a catalog of all the visited planets detailing their characteristics, and this is why I think that the divers spend more time than the book gets into of getting details other than loot. We have the Karum Hotel. This is where people stay before they get their quarters, and if they're just visiting, or if they're deciding whether or not to be a diver, or if they just finished being a diver and will be heading on their way home. So you have a place here to stay. The district is the Red Light District, and it is, I like that it's mentioned, it's modeled after St. Petersburg Purple Way, the most liberal and decadent mile on Earth. This is, you have all sorts of places people go. You have brothels, restaurants, gambling houses, virtual entertainment centers. Among all of these is a place called the Red Asteroid. The Red Asteroid is a diver-only bar. Hey, a dive bar. I see what he did there. Good job, Alex. And it is only for divers and station staff, where people can go and mourn the dead and get drunk enough to sign up for a new mission. Gives you some table on what happened at the divers there, some rumors. Personal quarters are where divers stay. I love this little piece of flavor right here. Your shower will deliver a 40-second, two 40-second sprays with an interval of 2 minutes in between. Get wet, use the 2 minutes to lather up, use the last 40 seconds to clean off. You're entitled to one of these every 3 days, and you'll be used an additional, it's five Drake coins per shower after that. It does say, excuse me, it says every 3 cycles. A cycle is a 24-hour day. Weeks are broken up into 7 days, similar to the way that Western culture on Earth broke up time. You also have your basic amenities, which is people living together in bunks and hopefully not getting stabbed in their sleep. Standard is your own room with NutriPaste and some access to the gym and virtual shooting range and library. And then gold, and these are expensive. You have to pay this even when you're out on a site dive. If you're off doing an expedition, you still have to pay to hold your room. So 100 DC a week is pretty damn expensive. If you play other role-playing games, you see DC, you're going to think difficulty class. Get that out of your head. We don't have that here. The asteroid. This is where the hangars are. The hangars are of little interest. They're just metal structures and tunnels of raw rock. But each ship that's in there has hundreds of pre-programmed locations. Some of the ships are considered lucky because they have yet to anybody's, ships where people haven't died and they've made it back alive. Those are considered lucky ships, and they are in high demand, and people very much want them. So the KSA engineers can start a ship, select a destination. They can turn on external visual feedback. That's about it. There is some form of work technology, but we don't really know how it works. We do know that sometimes it drops out, and we call that recalibration stops. Maybe it's reorienting itself, but we don't actually know. Mission control is where people go to get their missions. They go in, they check in, they wait 24 hours. If they don't have a full crew, they get assigned a crew, and then they go off on their mission. Right? And the medical center is where you can go to get taken care of. You can get various levels of insurance that'll make it a little cheaper to do, and this lets you take care of yourself in between. The station itself is a place rife for opportunities to sort of do urban crawl or social role playing. While the rest of it is sort of wilderness trekking and site diving. I think that's it. I think that kind of covers the lore of Across a Thousand Dead Worlds. It is a fantastic mid-crunch level of role playing that gives you a lot of flavor to work with, and a lot of opportunity to come up with your own alien weirdness for the things that you find and the sites that you create as you go. You're not necessarily going to be able to come up with something as elaborate as a GM might make for you in advance, but it gives you tons of tables and opportunities to create that and discover for yourself what the RSI left behind for us to find as we trek out from Karum Station to explore 1,000 Dead Worlds. That's it. I'll see you guys in the next one. I should be starting a game. I'm going to be doing Karum Station Blues here very soon. Running through that. That will be filled with spoilers for that particular supplement, so heads up. But stay tuned to watch my character go through that sometime soon. Carry on with courage. I'll catch you on the next one. See you later. Bye.